What up, Ivy in the building, and we back for another video. Now I'm back with, I don't even know what kind of video this is. I don't know what I'm gonna title it. It's just gonna be me talking for like 10 minutes. So I was watching the game 1 of the Thunder Rockets series, two teams that are drastically different in terms of what they're comprised of. The Rockets don't have a traditional center. Their quote-unquote center is PJ Tucker at the height of 6'5", and the Oklahoma City Thunder have one of the more traditional centers in the entire NBA in Steven Adams, who's 6'11", about 260 pounds. And the reason the Rockets don't have a center was to kind of adhere to Russell Westbrook's play style, so we can have the most spacing possible in this Rockets system, so that there is no opposing center down low for all of Russell Westbrook's drives. The main positive, or the reason why the Rockets traded away Clint Capella, is not gone, but like the main reason that they did it is not readily available at the moment. So I thought, like a lot of other people thought, that Oklahoma City Thunder were gonna have a great chance of being competitive in at least the first 3 games. But in that game 1, the Rockets blew them out the water. It really wasn't close ever since the end of the first quarter. What I want to talk about is the center position, in terms of how from that game I could see how it's going to change within the next 5 years. In the recent NBA, I guess in the past 20 years, there's been a down drop in terms of back to the basket dominant center who are a go-to option regardless of who they're being guarded by. In the 2000s, it was Shaq. Towards the end of the 2000s, it was Dwight Howard. And then after that, the center position was kind of, well, Tim Duncan is a power forward / center. But after that, there's really not been a dominant low post center in the 2010s. Until we've gotten Joel Embiid, Karl Anthony Towns, and Nikola Jokic, that are the young ascending centers today. But today, there's a lot of centers that are simply tasked with stretching the floor so that the guards and forwards can get to the rim, or being a traditional center, just rim running, blocking shots, getting rebounds, getting putbacks, lob opportunities, and not really creating their own offense in the low post. And we're going against the Rockets. You really cannot play that rim running center that doesn't have a low post game that's dominant, because their impact is completely negated. Steven Adams, he's one of my favorite centers, one of my favorite players in the league because he's such a team-oriented player, but his impact was minimal in that game 1. Now, he did have like 17 points and 12 rebounds, both stats that are above his season averages. But if you're going against a Rockets team that isn't going to play a low post center, somebody that can defend in the low post, you have to dominate that matchup. And if you don't dominate it, there's really no purpose in having your center out there. And when I mean dominate, I mean 30 points, 15 rebounds efficiently. Adams got like 18 points, barely above 50% shooting. And I know it's not in Steven Adams' game to really dominate offensively like that, but there's no point of having him out there because his offensive impact is negated if he's not going to dominate the low post. The Rockets win that matchup. And then on defense, his defensive impact is negated because he's not going to be able to stand in the rim and roam around the paint and defend because he has to guard PJ Tucker in the corner all day. It's easier to score when you're playing 4-on-4 than when you're playing 5-on-5 because there's an extra man who isn't defending. Especially when that man is a center who lowers your percent chance of scoring in the paint. When that player is out the game and you have one of the best players in terms of scoring and getting to the rim, that's a GG. So what I want to do is I want to look at the centers of this league today. So we obviously have the core 3 of, I'm using 2K, so these ratings are a bit skewed. But we have the core young ascending 3 of Embiid, Jokic, and Towns that are players that can create their own shot in the low block. So that's 3 centers. Hassan Whiteside does not create his own shot in the low block. Gobert does not. Capella does not. Bam Adebayo can, so that's 4. Porzingis can, but the Mavericks really don't want him to do that, but we'll count him. That's 5. Drummond, kind of, but not really. He's really just a rim running center. Harrell can, that's 6, but he's not even a starting center, but we'll just count him. Vucevic can, that's 7. Ayton can, that's 8. Aldridge can, that's 9. Adams, no. Valanciunas can, that's, what did I say, 9 or 10? I think I said 9. So Valanciunas is 10, Nurkic is 11. And then after that, there's no really dominant low post centers like that. Like Bagley is mainly just a role guy. Howard is not that in his career anymore. DeAndre Jordan never really was that. Wendell Carter is more of a playmaking center and defensive. Jared Allen's more of a role man. Ibaka from time to time can, but I'm not counting him. Tristan Thompson, no low post offensive game. So like only a third of the league's starting centers can really attack in the low post at all times. There's only a third of today's league centers where you'd be comfortable giving them the ball in the low post and saying, just give me a shot. And that's when they're going against opposing centers. You're comfortable giving Joel Embiid the ball against Rudy Gobert, one of the best defensive centers in the league. But you can't say that about the other 2/3 of the starting centers in today's league. And if you're not comfortable giving it to your center in the low post against somebody who is 5 inches shorter, then their impact on offense is basically negated unless they're just dominating on the offensive glass. Something in which Steven Adams didn't do in game 1. I think we're going to get to a point in the NBA, I don't know how long, I'm going to guess about 5 years, where centers that are kind of limited on the offensive end, like Hassan Whiteside, Rudy Gobert, Clint Capella, Drummond, and Steven Adams, centers that are limited on the offensive end that can't really create their own shot on a consistent level, especially against switches, especially when they're being guarded by wings. I think they're going to be extinct in today's league. Or not today's league, I think they're going to be extinct in the league 5 years from now. So I do agree, or I do think or believe that the Rockets are actually starting a trend in which if you don't have a center that can dominate in the low post in terms of creating their own shot, there's really no purpose in having one out there. Why not just have another floor spacer for your 2 stars on the perimeter? I think we're going to move to a direction in which if you don't have a low post dominant center like Jokic, Embiid, or Towns, then you're going to want to play a center that is just multi-dimensional, that is an actual Swiss Army. We've seen that with the Warriors in the past when they went to Draymond at the 5. That was their Swiss Army knife of a player that could do basically everything besides putting the ball in the hoop on his own on a consistent basis. He could switch basically on any player on the floor. He could defend inside and out. A lot of playmaking ability. Basically your glue guy. And a perfect example of that, maybe even on a much higher level, is Bam Adebayo. Like I said, if you're not going to have a low post dominant center, I think players like, or centers like Bam Adebayo are really going to be the centers of the future. Players at the 5 position that can basically switch on at least 3 positions, that can defend inside and out, and that can play make from the 5, that can find the open man, put the ball on the floor, and finish inside from time to time. Of course, he still has more to improve with his game because he doesn't really have a 3-point shot like that. Still, Bam Adebayo is in the mold of the center that is going to be the most sought after center if he could add that 3-point shot. The NBA, maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, was a league that was so entrenched in just simply having somebody to fill a position. And it was a league that was dominated by centers. So there was a lot bigger of a diversity of centers, or no, why am I using extra words? There was a higher number of centers that could actually score in the low block if you just threw it down to them down low. So it was required to have a center that could defend that. Somebody 6'11" and above that could defend Kareem, Moses Malone, Karl Malone, not a center, but a low post big, Patrick Ewing, Hakeem. Even if your opposing center, your center that you had guarding Hakeem, wasn't as good as Hakeem on offense, if he was somebody on the defensive end that could make him work, he was valuable. Now in a league where only a third of the NBA's starting centers can really create in the low post, teams don't really have to have a player that can defend players down low because there's not that many of them out there. In about 5 years' time, I think that centers that can only set screens, catch lobs, block shots, and rebound at high levels, I think those centers are going to be extinct because of their inability to put the ball on the floor, create their own shot in the low post, or stretch the floor. they'll be extinct in 5 years because of tactics like the Rockets that will completely negate their value in important games like the playoffs. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and if you're new here, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Anyways, like I was saying, thanks for watching. It's been your boy IB. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.